Welcome back, Cowboys Nation. We're diving straight into the heart of the latest from Oxnard, where the Dallas Cowboys training camp is buzzing with intensity, controversy, and eye-opening developments. As fans and analysts across the country turn their eyes to California, the drama unfolding isn't just about who looks good in drills or who's catching passes, it's about what's being said off the field, and how some of the biggest names on this team are responding to the man who signs the checks. That's right, Jerry Jones stirred up a hornet's nest with his latest comments, and the fallout includes responses from two of the team's highest-profile defensive stars, Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs. Not to mention, questions are starting to mount over former first-round pick Mazi Smith and his weight issues, which are becoming impossible to ignore. So buckle up, because we're going deep into what's really happening at training camp and what it means for the Cowboys' chances in 2025. First, let's set the stage with Jerry Jones' comments that kicked all of this into high gear. In a recent press availability, Jerry was asked about the defensive leadership and intensity at camp, and he made a subtle but pointed statement. He said, and I quote, "I want to see more from our stars. This is the time when leadership has to show. Talk is cheap." Now, Jones didn't mention any names, but it didn't take long for the media and fans to start drawing conclusions. With the timing of his remarks and the context surrounding the defense, many interpreted his words as a direct challenge to Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs. These are players who have both received massive attention, big contracts or extensions, and have been expected to lead this defense. When a figure as powerful as Jerry Jones makes a comment like that, it doesn't just disappear into the wind, it echoes through the locker room. Micah Parsons, never one to back down from a narrative or stay quiet when he feels his name is being thrown around, responded in his own way. During a post-practice media scrum, Parsons was asked about Jerry's comments, and his expression shifted. Calm but clearly focused, Parsons said, "I've never been about just talking. I let my play speak. I show up every day, I work, and I dominate. If somebody wants to question that, they're not watching what's going on out here." That's a powerful rebuttal from the team's most dynamic defender. Micah didn't mention Jerry by name, but everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. It was the type of response that tells you there's a little tension simmering just beneath the surface, and possibly a growing gap in how leadership and accountability are viewed between the front office and players. Trevon Diggs' response took a different tone, but was no less pointed. He spoke to reporters after a spirited practice session, and when the topic of Jerry Jones' comments came up, Diggs paused and then offered this: "I'm out here competing. I'm not worried about opinions. I play for my brothers on this team and for wins. All that other stuff? That's noise." For a player who has taken some heat in the past for inconsistent effort or tackling concerns, Diggs has been turning heads at camp with his intensity and energy. And his response, while less direct than Micah's, sent a similar message: he's focused on ball, not headlines. But make no mistake, both players heard what was said. And their responses, subtle or not, paint a picture of a team that's still trying to find its internal alignment between ownership, coaching, and its core players. Now, let's pivot to another major storyline emerging from camp: the situation surrounding Mazi Smith. This one is more concerning because it's not about words, it's about performance and physical readiness. Mazi, the former first-round pick from Michigan, came into this offseason under intense scrutiny after a rookie season that failed to meet expectations. And unfortunately, the concerns have only intensified after reports surfaced that Smith is significantly overweight and struggling with conditioning at training camp. According to multiple insiders on the ground in Oxnard, Mazi looks sluggish during drills and has not been able to keep pace during high-intensity scrimmages. Some have estimated he's playing at 340 pounds or more, which is considerably above the weight range the Cowboys ideally want for his position and style of play. This raises some big red flags, not just for Mazi's future but for the defensive interior as a whole. The Cowboys were hoping to see a second-year jump from Mazi. He was supposed to be that interior force who could help shut down the run and collapse the pocket. But if he's coming into camp out of shape, that calls into question his commitment during the off-season, his overall conditioning, and even his future role on this defense. Jerry Jones has not directly commented on Mazi's condition, but when reporters asked defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer about it, his reply was short: he's got work to do. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement. And when Zimmer says something like that, it means the coaching staff is watching closely and considering their options. At this level, potential means nothing without performance, and right now, Mazi is trending in the wrong direction. What's even more telling is how some of Mazi's teammates have responded. Veteran defensive lineman Osei Odigizwa was asked about the importance of staying in shape during the off-season, and he said, "It's all about professionalism. You've got to show up ready to work. There are no shortcuts at this level." While he didn't name Mazi, the context was pretty clear. The message is being sent from inside the locker room. Every player has to hold himself accountable, or the team suffers. That kind of sentiment suggests that there might be growing frustration internally with Smith's trajectory. And when you look at the Cowboys' depth chart, it's easy to see how this might become a critical issue as the season draws near. If Mazi can't anchor the line, that puts more pressure on veterans, and it also forces the Cowboys to reconsider their rotations and maybe even bring in another body from free agency. Back to Parsons for a moment, because while his comments made headlines, his actions on the field have been just as loud. Micah has been nothing short of dominant during camp. He's flying off the edge, disrupting passing lanes, and bringing that signature chaos that has made him one of the most feared defenders in the league. One moment that really stood out came during a red zone drill when he blew past both the starting right tackle and tight end, forcing a sack and nearly causing a fumble. The crowd erupted, and Micah let out a roar that seemed to send a message to everyone, including Jerry, that he's still that guy. But with great talent comes great responsibility, and it's clear that the Cowboys are expecting Parsons to lead vocally as well as physically. That might be where some of the tension is. Jerry wants more than just highlights, he wants culture-shaping leadership. Whether Micah is ready to embrace that broader role remains one of the biggest storylines of the offseason. And let's not forget Trevon Diggs, who has been locked in since camp started. After signing his extension, some worried that his intensity might dip, but so far, the opposite has happened. He's been aggressive in one-on-ones, vocal on the sideline, and even mentoring some of the younger DBs. Diggs has reportedly taken Darren Bland under his wing, spending extra time after practice going over film and footwork. That's exactly the kind of leadership the Cowboys need to solidify the secondary, especially with question marks still surrounding who will emerge as the third cornerback in nickel packages. So while Jerry's comments may have been aimed at stirring motivation, there's evidence on the field that his stars are already rising to the occasion. The bigger question is whether the front office and the players can get on the same page before the season begins. Meanwhile, there's also growing speculation about whether the Cowboys will make a move to reinforce the defensive line given the concerns with Mazi Smith. Names like Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh and even Sheldon Rankins are floating around as possible veteran additions who could step in and provide immediate depth and professionalism. The idea here isn't necessarily to replace Smith outright, but to send a message: no one's job is safe if they're not producing. And in a year where expectations are sky high for this Cowboys defense, the margin for error is razor thin. If they're serious about contending, they can't afford any weak links, especially in the trenches. As all of this unfolds, the Cowboys coaching staff has been walking a tightrope. They want to foster competition without creating division, encourage accountability without causing resentment, and push their stars without burning them out. It's a tough balance, and Jerry's recent comments have complicated the chemistry just a bit. But training camp is exactly the time for these tensions to play out. This is when teams either fracture or forge their identity. The Cowboys have the talent to be great, there's no question about that. But talent alone doesn't win championships. It takes unity, discipline, and leadership. Whether that leadership ultimately comes from Jerry's bold words or from the actions of guys like Parsons and Diggs remains to be seen. As we head into the second week of camp, all eyes will be on a few key things. 1. Can Mazi Smith get into shape quickly enough to salvage his role and contribute meaningfully to this team? 2. Will the front office make any additional moves to fortify the D-line? 3. How will Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs continue to respond, both vocally and through their performance? And finally, can the Cowboys as an organization top to bottom get aligned in a way that builds momentum instead of controversy? Because make no mistake, the NFL season waits for no one. The division is stronger, the schedule is brutal, and expectations are sky high. If the Cowboys want to make 2025 their year, the work starts now. And that work isn't just in the weight room or the film room, it's also in the culture, in the leadership, and in how they handle adversity. Whether it's Jerry Jones calling people out, Micah Parsons clapping back, or Mazi Smith facing a reckoning with his conditioning, every storyline coming out of camp is a piece of the bigger puzzle. Cowboys Nation, this training camp is giving us everything: drama, intensity, controversy, and yes, even some hope. Let's see how it all plays out. Stay locked in, hit that like button if you enjoyed today's deep dive, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a moment of the action from Oxnard and beyond. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.